About Last Night tells the story of two different relationships, the men of whom are best friends and the women who are roommates, and how the two relationships are so contrasted and how they in fact are interwoven. And I have to say that About Last Night surprised me in the most positive manner. Because while the film does live up to its promise of lightheartedness and comedy, at the same time it delves into the characters so deeply in a manner that I thought was rather unexpected. Not only does the film focus on two different kinds of relationships, but it also delves into either side of the relationship as well. The first relationship is that of Bernie and Joan, who are in a more on and off and casual situation. They tend to fight a lot. And then you have Danny and Debbie, who are going steady. They're far more serious, and they have an almost fairy tale-like relationship, and how these two relationships ultimately affect one another, and how each person within this relationship tries to provide their friend with advice, which doesn't necessarily work, but at the same time focuses on the prime message of the film. That is, that honest relationships, not just from a boyfriend or girlfriend perspective, but from a genuine perspective, which is the larger message of the film, that is friendships and relationships with people that you've known all your life. Those kind of relationships are really, if honest, the most impactful things in your life in the most positive manner. And really it's these contrasts that the film decides to take advantage of, and through which the most comedic elements of the film actually occur. First off, there are extremely well edited scenes which involve the contrast between the male and the female perspective of the relationship, wherein things they are saying to their friend are immediately contrasted by the other person's perception, thereby giving you an interesting take on how relationships are genuinely perceived by different sexes today. Secondly, showing you the contrast between the two relationships gives you an interesting insight into how relationships are once again perceived today. And the film focuses on the relationship that consists of Michael Ealy, less so on the one that consists of Kevin Hart, and of course Michael Ealy's performance in the film is great, but really it adds to what I believe is something that feels and comes across as so natural, and it's the simplicity that the film possesses that makes this relationship feel like one of the most natural things I've seen on screen in a pretty long time. Although I can admit to the fact that this particular relationship does go by a little quicker than some might expect. Furthermore, I was extremely pleased to see Kevin Hart in this film. The genuine charisma and energy that he possesses really emphasizes the screen presence that he has. All that said and done, despite, dare I use the word, the organicness that the film actually possesses, towards the end of it, it does decide to wrap itself up in a neat little bow of convenience. And through the course of the film, I thought that there was a genuine dip in terms of the energy, perhaps due to the absolute decreasing presence of Kevin Hart in the story, that the film begins on such an energetic mode, in my personal opinion, and towards the end is extremely somber and in fact timid, not necessarily a negative, but it doesn't exactly flow gradually from one point to the next. Nonetheless, About Last Night surprised me, and while it is certainly a comedy, it might not be as humorous as some people might be expecting. In fact, it holds back on the raunchiness, something that I was actually pleased by, and undertakes gentle and more character-based and in fact realistically based humor. If for nothing else, the characters we're introduced to and the various arcs that they have in the film certainly makes watching the film worthwhile. I'm gonna give About Last Night a yes.